and welcome to the Startups of London podcast. Today we have Baby to Body, also known as the Body Collective Group, that provides female lifestyle solutions rooted in evidence-based practices delivered via personalized digital experiences. We are joined by the CEO and founder, Melinda. Welcome to the podcast, Mel.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. And today for our show, we have something new as well. I also have one of our team members, Ali, who will be joining with me with some of his questions. Welcome, Ali.
Hello. I'm a little bit excited because it's my first time.
All good. So the Body Collective Group, I'd like to say a few words about that before we start. I was doing some research on the background of that idea. And something that I found very interesting is they're wholly committed to meeting the specific needs of women as they navigate complex body changes driven by hormonal cycles that fluctuate throughout their lives. These nuances changes are largely ignored by the health and wellness industry. And their point is we cannot ignore the uniqueness of women's health any longer, nor can we settle for generic solutions that disregard individuals' health needs and goals. And as someone who has gone through the grind of sociology and that way of looking the world, I can definitely say a lot of areas that we see in our lives, including health, are dominated by the male gaze, and there seems to be a limit to that. So I do entirely welcome these perspectives, but I'm really curious to hear Mel's point of view. So Mel, how would you describe the business? I know you have two products, Baby to Body and M Body. So can you talk us through the business and the structure of that, please?
Yeah, sure. So the business is a wellness platform. So we create digital products that help women through different parts of their lives so that they can live happier and healthier. And our first product is a product for pregnancy called Baby to Body. And that is for conception, pregnancy, and postpartum. And the next one that we're bringing out is this year we're bringing out a product for women past the reproductive stage. So as soon as they have finished having their babies, the body starts changing, and it's kind of navigating those changes. And as they get older, and then into the perimenopause, and then eventually the menopause, and that's called M-Body. And that is going to be released quite soon, actually, this year. So hopefully in September, October. And the idea is really to help 1 billion women live healthier and happier lives. And that's what I set out to do when I set up the business. So, we will be bringing out multiple products. We started with Baby to Body, and that's my little baby, I guess. Mm-hmm. And now, we're expanding. And, there's a lot more that we can do in different areas. So, the future will be interesting. We'll see what we can do. But we're very good at bringing out really engaging digital products with keeping the consumer in the middle of everything.
So can you talk us through these digital products? What do they look like? What's the biggest value that they provide on a daily basis?
It's a companion, right? So if you think about, when...
Does it work through a chatbot or...
No, it's an app, and we get a lot of data from the user, kind of personal data as in their age, their stage, their hormonal profile, where they are in their cycle, and then we tailor the programs to fit that. So imagine it's like having, a personal trainer, a nutritionist, well-being coach in the palm of your hand at all times. And then also someone who's kind of gone through that journey as well. So there's a lot of help on sort of, navigating the feelings that you would having a baby, and just dealing with all of the different aspects of becoming a mother, which is quite challenging. And then also equally, after you've had a baby, how you get back when you go back to work, how you feel about yourself, your relationship, the things that changes. So we respond to women's needs, because, I've been doing this for a long, long time. So, kind of we know what women go through, but then also we respond to them specifically. So if they're going through anything and they tell us and they show us, or we can track them on the app, then we can respond to that. So for example, if someone has, has a sore back, for example, during pregnancy, and they report that, then we can actually help them and give them workouts and stretches and yoga to do. That'll help them. Equally, if somebody is not sleeping, we can give her specific recipes for, things that will make her calm, meditation, yoga exercises. So it's looking holistically at a woman's life and giving her all of those different aspects that can help her.
How would you describe the general information landscape when it comes to women's health?
In general, I think it's very confusing. I think there's a lot of people out there who are claiming to be experts that aren't. And I think that a lot of it is not, most of it's not personalized. It's very generic. And then also a lot of it is not scientifically validated. So it's not science-backed. And everything that we do is scientifically validated, science-backed. We make sure that it's rooted in evidence. So I'm a sports psychologist, and my background is in health and wellness. I've been in health and wellness for a long, long time, literally my entire life. So, it's always been, we come at it from a scientific approach, and we address it from that perspective. So everything that you'll ever get from us is scientifically validated, which is really important.
What was the biggest misinformation about women's health that you have ran into in the past?
That you shouldn't exercise when you're pregnant.
Oh, really? How does it work between the months? And is there any time you should not exercise, or not at all?
No, you should exercise all the time. I mean, it's like saying that a car shouldn't be driving, right? We're designed to move. So we're designed to move. We're designed to create. And it's about keeping the body safely and effectively in, in the healthiest place it could be, which means that you need to move, you need to feed yourself properly, you need to nourish your body, and you need to keep your mind active and calm.
I see. Okay, that's really interesting, I think. So essentially treating your body as if it is recovering from a big injury and being very immobile and not active is actually worse for your health.
Oh, yeah, much. I mean, that's, it's not an injury. Pregnancy is not an injury. Pregnancy doesn't, I mean, obviously, if somebody has a traumatic birth and they are physically hurt in some way, or they've had a C-section where they've had a, kind of a minor cut in order to have the baby, then that's different. Then their wound has to heal and things like that. But you can still move. You can still, stretch your upper back. You can still do some stretching. You can still do some you've got to pick up the baby and feed the baby anyway. So there's a lot that you can still do, even if you don't, and being mindful of how your body is transforming and getting better, and your healing process. But you can actually aid it. So you can actually help your body by doing that.
I couldn't help myself but wonder, because I used to be a licensed swimmer. What if the pregnant woman is an athlete, for example? I mean, like a professional athlete. How hard should she keep on training not to underperform when her pregnancy is over, or when can she start training hard enough to start competing again?
Well, everybody's different, so it depends on the athlete, right? So everybody has a different birth experience, and they all have different strengths and weaknesses in their body. So it's very difficult to say there's a set amount of time, but normally what we say for non-athletes, so for women who are just regular women, we say 6 weeks at least before they start doing any kind of exercise. So they've got to let their body heal for a period of 6 weeks. And if they've had a C-section, then it's slightly longer. But in the meantime, they can start walking, they can do a little bit of upper body stretches. You know, your shoulders and your neck get very tense when you're picking up the baby and feeding the baby a lot. So it just depends on the person and what their strengths and weaknesses are. So there's no like kind of one way to do it. It's you know, kind of, it depends on the person.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think that was an interesting question. So Mel, the growth phases of startups, as I've been able to observe, have been increasing. So Baby to Body has been there for 6.5 years. Is that right? How has the business changed? How have you changed in these 6 years?
Well, we didn't actually start the business 6.5 years ago. I formed the company, and then we got our first round of funding, the first bit of funding in the end of 2015, and then the beginning of 2015, and then we were kind of in stealth mode for a little bit, you know, understanding what we were going to build and doing lots and lots and lots of research, and that really helped us to set us up for success, because you know, it's very difficult to just start a business, a consumer business, and you know, get people to buy into your product immediately. So it took us a while to kind of understand what tech we needed and to get things going. But I think, yeah, a lot has happened in 6 years as well. Like, I think, you know, when we started, you know, startups were getting really small checks to start the businesses, and, you know, 50K, 100K, even from VCs. And now I think, you know, no one starts a business with less than 500K. So I think it's very different. I think the expectations are quite different as well. So yeah, it's a different world, I guess. And then obviously post-COVID, it's even more difficult and different.
I would be really curious about the timeline there, because I think this is absolutely gold material for other entrepreneurs there. So if you can provide some details into that, I think that will be insightful in terms of when did you get your first funding, how long were you in stealth mode, and with the funding, I mean, what was the argument that got you the funding? Because you don't have any product, and you just mentioned that perhaps the space and the solution was something you had in mind, but not how you would solve the problem, I guess. So can you talk about that, please?
Well, I think that I knew exactly how I wanted to solve the problem, and I had a lot of experience in the industry. So I had also, you know, kind of 2 businesses before, so I wasn't necessarily a first-time entrepreneur.
I see.
And then I think, you know, it's, you know, you've got to have a compelling reason to be doing what you're doing, and I think that's the most important thing. And you've got to fully understand the problem that you're trying to solve, and you need to be the right person to bring the solution to market. So if it's not you, it needs to be a member of your team. So you need to make sure that you have all of that signed up, and then ultimately that's what an investor will be investing in, your ability to bring to market something that you feel passionate about, and you want to, you know, stop everything else and devote your life to this. And, you know, it's not easy. Like you know, I didn't earn any money for the first, you know, a couple of years. You know, I had to put in all my savings into the business. Number of times we didn't have money. We were about to go out of business. You know, you got to scramble around and see what you can do. So, you know, there's all of those different stories. And, you know, it's not like, oh, I've got an idea, I'll go out, get somebody else's money and try it out. That's actually not how it works. But I think there's a lot of people who sort of look at entrepreneurs and think, okay, well, that can't be too difficult, I'll do it. But, you know, you don't see the sleepless nights, you don't see the sweat, blood and tears that go into everything we do. So, you know, if someone's passionate about something and they really understand they've got something that they feel that they can bring to market in a way that is unique, and they've got some proof points, or at least some kind of data points to bring to the table, then you might get some funding. But I mean, I think it's good to do as much as you can before you get to take anyone else's money, because you can often iron out a lot of those, well, will it work, won't it work, those kinds of things.
Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Is that is that a voice assistant?
That was my watch. Yeah, that was my watch saying it didn't like what I was saying.
Yeah, it wanted to join the podcast, I guess.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Does that sometimes, Siri. Yeah, so it's a tough game, and there's no one timeline. I think you asked about a timeline. I think everybody has a different timeline. We were in stealth mode because no one had done this before, and we didn't. I had the idea, obviously, and I had all the content and the information. But how do we go to market? Do we go with an email? Do we go with an app? What does that look like? What is the prototype? So I went through a couple of iterations of prototypes, and then we actually decided, myself and my board at the time, I had a couple of investors, angel investors and one VC, that we were going to just come to market with an email subscription, free email, just to test what people wanted, what they were interested in, all that kind of thing. And that really helped us because we got to understand so much more about these users.
I mean, I think there's a big lesson here for entrepreneurs. We set standards and we compare ourselves to those standards. I think it's similar for women's bodies and for men as well. Sometimes you set as a standard an unrealistic B2 standard or different expectancies, and then you try to reach it, and when you cannot, it makes you unhappy. It demotivates you. I think it's very similar for entrepreneurs. If you set a comparison point of a huge success in 1.5 years, 2 years, by looking at the most extreme stories, and then it takes you 4 or 5 years for you to build a business and mature to a certain point. If you compare yourself to an unrealistic standard, then it can be quite detrimental, both to your mental health as an entrepreneur, your wellness. It's kind of like a sports performance psychology thing there. I think there's a parallel there. I don't know, do you see a parallel there? I mean, I think the heart of the message is it is okay to build a business in more than 1 or 2 years. You can take your time. You can take 5 years, 6 years, even 10 years, if that's the pace for that business, if it makes you happy, if it fits with your life.
Yeah, exactly. I think, there's no one way of doing anything. And I think it's just what you want to build, really. So some people have small businesses that they run from home and don't take on any staff, don't take on any funding, and I think that's absolutely fine. I mean, that was my first business. I didn't take funding and I exited that, and then my second business was I ran that for 15 years from home. I had people who worked for me. I never took any funding. But it was really, for me, that was successful, right? I was able to live the life I wanted to live and bring up my kids. So I think it all depends on, where you are in your life and what you want to do. I mean, I just really always tell people, like, if you can avoid taking money from anyone else, then just try and avoid it, because it's, it puts you on a path that you've got to give those people a return on their investment. So yeah, it's a different way of thinking about running a company.
I mean, it's definitely there are challenges with working with someone else's money. There's different sorts of accountability. Like the startups that we've built so far, and Startups of London itself we are customer funded or funded by the risk we take as the founder. So that's kind of the idea there, and it's different. There's definitely a different feeling to the type of startup that you feel in that way versus the startup that you first get an investment through a pitch, and then immediately go on to build a team before you have. I've ran into startups having chats with people in London that were going on for 3 years, that had a team of more than 30 people. And when I asked what the product is, they still said, "Oh, you haven't launched yet." To me, that's incredible. I mean, I see why that is, but still, it's quite difficult to grasp and wrap my head around. But anyways, I would like to jump on to a different topic. So you have a team of, and correct me if I'm wrong there, because I'm just looking at LinkedIn. You have 11 people that work with you.
Yeah, we're actually 14 now.
14. So
Yeah.
what's the team like? I mean, can you tell me about the team? How have you grown? Are you hiring for new roles, by the way?
Yeah, we are hiring. We are hiring tech roles at the moment. So we've got, I think, 3 or 4 open roles. And we're also hiring for marketing, like a product marketing person. So yeah, we've got, 4 people in the tech side of the company. We've got finance, we've got marketing, and then content. So that's the kind of structure of the business. And then obviously myself, and then I've got kind of an EA, executive assistant, who helps me with most of the stuff I do. And those are the main areas. So for us, it's really tech, which is, tech and content, which is the product, and then the marketing side. So that's the kind of the main areas.
And I'd like to jump in once again. As an entrepreneur who has experience before, you told us that you started other businesses, exited. And how in previous businesses and also in your current business, Baby 2Body, how do you handle disagreement within the company, within team members, within you and other team members? And what is the culture like? I mean, did you have different understandings in your past businesses, or you have a understanding of culture that you put to reality in all of your businesses?
So you asked me how we resolve conflict?
Resolve conflict with general culture. I mean, is there any differences between your previous businesses?
I don't think we've ever had actual conflict. I think, we encourage people to think about things in a unique way and bring that to the table. And we take everybody's, kind of input, and we make decisions. But I don't think we've ever had any sort of real conflict as, I want to do this and you want to do that. At the end of the day, I'm the visionary and I'm the CEO. And the people that are working with me are there to bring my vision to life, right? And I'm perfectly happy to look at different ways of doing that. Like, I don't have those answers, and that's why I bring them on to help me. But ultimately, people aren't going to work for me if they don't buy into the vision. So, our culture is very much, everybody's very independent in terms of what they can say and their input into the business and into the product and how we develop things. So I think that that's the strength of the product, because we get a great product that basically, is, relates and can be relatable to, millions and millions of women in all over the country, all over the world. We're in 150 countries. So we've got people from all over the world working for us. And that's really important, so that we have this cognitive diversity, that people think in unique ways and bring that to the product and to the way that we do things as well. So that's really important.
So you told that you're in 150 countries?
Yeah.
What about the countries that...
It is only in English. So if people don't speak English, they don't seem to have a problem using our product. So at the moment...
Do you have any plans for the future?
Yeah, we do have some plans. I'm not sure exactly when that'll be, but we will be bringing out multiple languages.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we've still got a way to go before we do that, because there's still a lot to be done with English-speaking people. So, we've got some plans, but not at the not in the next couple of months.
I see.
Mel, thank you for these answers and your insight into the business. We do appreciate you sharing so honestly. Thank you very much. Is there anything you'd like to ask? You'd like to add, or you like?
I think if I was to give entrepreneurs any tip, it's really important to listen to the market and listen to the data. Like if no one's buying your product, if no one's paying for your product, then you probably aren't going to be able to convince them to do that. So. And I think testing quite early on of whether people are willing to pay for something is really key, because you see a lot of people building products that people actually don't want to pay for. So I think that's it's a really important aspect.
I mean, I would concur. Respecting the market, and in my eyes, I know this is going to sound funny, perhaps absurd to some people, but in my eyes, the market is just Poseidon. It's just a god, a very strong and powerful being. The way I make this analogy is because it's very, very strong. And if you get along, then if you understand the market, if you speak its language, then that can be a great source of strength. But if you do not respect it, you'll be coughing out salt water in no time. So it's a tough battle in itself. Thank you for today. I've enjoyed our chat. So for people that would like to perhaps work with you, apply to Baby to Body, what's the address they should go to?
If they email team@babytobody.com and send their CV and a cover letter and what they're interested in doing, then our team will get back to you. And then you can also follow me on Twitter. It's @MelindaNicky. And then we've got Instagram. It's Baby to Body Official, and then also Embody Official. And I am Melinda Nicky on Instagram as well. Melinda.Nicky.
Thank you very much, Melinda. It was great having this chat. Ali, also thank you for your questions and for our first 2 interview podcast special today. So the audience is very lucky. And have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melinda.